I want you to picture a scene. It's a Tuesday morning, 7:45 a.m. The clock is ticking. You're standing in the kitchen, or, maybe if you're a teacher, you're at the front of a classroom.
Right.
And you look at a child,
Yeah.
or a student, and you give them a really simple instruction. Please put on your shoes. Or open your math book to page 10.
Low stakes. A simple request. It's not rocket science.
Exactly. But then, nothing. Silence. They just stare at you, or they look at the wall. Or they start picking at, I don't know, a loose thread on their shirt.
Right.
They refuse to move.
The classic standoff.
The standoff. And in that moment, be honest. What the very first thing that pops into your head? Because if you are like me, and I mean most people, your brain instantly just screams one word: defiance.
Right. You think they're being stubborn or they're actively trying to ruin my morning.
It feels personal. It feels so intentional. You can feel your blood pressure start to rise because you feel, disrespected.
It's a completely natural reaction. I mean, we are basically wired to interpret noncompliance as a challenge to our authority. But today, we're looking at this fascinating set of notes and research called When Kids Won't Comply. And its core argument is going to completely flip that script.
Yeah, this research basically argues that refusal is rarely just about a kid being difficult. It says noncompliance is actually a signal, a symptom of some deeper barrier that we usually can't see.
And that is the mission for this deep dive. We want to move you from that instant, hot feeling of frustration to a colder, more, analytical place of curiosity. We're going to unpack the 4 real reasons that our sources identify.
And we're not just talking theory.
No, not at all. We are going to look at specific tactical shifts, almost like psychological jujitsu, that can get a child back on track without the power struggle.
Psychological jujitsu. I like that. Usually I feel like I'm just engaging in psychological warfare.
Well, the big shift here is it's deceptively simple, but it's hard to do. It's this. It's not always defiance. We have to stop asking, why won't they behave? And start asking, what is the barrier?
Okay, let's get into the weeds then. Because I think a lot of us think we know why a kid isn't listening. We just assume it's attitude. But the first reason in our stack is something called the skill gap.
This one is huge. It's that fundamental distinction between won't and can't.
See, I have to stop you there immediately, because this is where I get skeptical, and I know our listeners will too. If I ask a 10-year-old to pick up a sock, I know they can do it.
Of course.
I've seen them do it 100 times.
Oh.
I saw them do it yesterday.
Yeah.
So when they don't do it today, it just feels like won't. It feels like a choice.
And that's the trap. That is exactly where we get it wrong. The source explains that just because a task looks easy to us, or even if they've done it before, doesn't mean it's accessible to them in that specific moment.
Accessible in that moment.
Yeah.
What does that even mean? If they have the skill, they have the skill.
Think about executive function. It's like the brain's air traffic control system. It handles starting tasks, organizing steps, filtering out distractions.
Okay.
So the source argues that sometimes a task that seems simple to us actually exceeds their current executive function bandwidth. They aren't choosing not to do it. The start button in their brain is broken.
So it's like a car with a dead battery.
Exactly. It doesn't matter how much you yell at the driver, the engine isn't turning over.
So, okay, how do I tell the difference? How do I distinguish between a kid who's just being difficult and a kid who literally neurologically can't?
Well, there are specific behavioral cues. You have to play detective. The source highlights things like staring blankly at the materials, or maybe they avoid starting altogether. They're just sitting there, fidgeting. They might just seem frozen or genuinely confused.
The blank stare. I know that looks so well. I always interpreted that as them tuning me out or just ignoring me.
And that's often a misinterpretation. It's a freeze response. They are overwhelmed by the whole of the task. They see the entire worksheet, the entire messy room, and their brain just locks up. They literally cannot figure out how to start.
Okay, so if I'm seeing that frozen state, yelling, "Get to work," is obviously not going to help.
It definitely makes it worse. Because now you're just adding stress to a brain that's already stalled, and stress just kills executive function.
So what's the tactical shift? How do we jumpstart the engine if the battery's dead?
The solution is what the source calls micro steps. You have to break the task down, and I don't just mean a shorter list. I mean break it down to the single, very first physical action.
Give me a concrete example. Walk me through it.
Okay, so the instruction is do this math worksheet. To a kid with a skill gap, that is a mountain. It's too much.
Right. It's a multi-step process disguised as one step.
Exactly. So instead you walk over and say, pick up your pencil.
That's it. Just pick up the pencil.
That's it. You wait for them to do it. Once the pencil is in their hand, you say, okay, write the number 1. You are removing the barrier of the whole task and focusing only on the immediate point of entry.
It's like you're lowering the bottom rung of the ladder so they can actually reach it.
Precisely. And the mechanism here is crucial. The source explains that success with that one microstep builds momentum. Once they do that one box, their brain gets this little hit of dopamine, a belief that, oh, I can do this, and that creates the energy to try the second step.
So you're manually engaging their transmission because they couldn't find the gear themselves.
That is a perfect analogy. You're building belief through doing. You're not doing the work for them, you are facilitating the start.
Okay, that makes sense for the kid who can't get started. But what about the kid who starts okay, they get going, they seem fine, but then 10 minutes in, they just crash?
That brings us to reason number 2, overwhelm, or what the source calls hitting the nervous system cap.
The nervous system cap, that sounds intense. Is this different from just getting tired or lazy?
It is different. Think of every person as having a window of tolerance.
Mm.
Inside that window, you can learn, you can listen, you can function. But if the amount of work or the pace is too high, you get pushed out of that window.
And what happens when they get pushed out?
They shut down. It's a protective response. Their whole biological system is just saying, enough.
Protective. So they aren't quitting because they don't want to work.
No, they're quitting because they are flooded. Imagine holding a cup under a waterfall, eventually just overflowed. You can't just yell at the cup to hold more water.
That's a strong image. So what are the signs here? Is it different from the blank stare we just talked about?
A little bit, yeah. With the skill gap, they often never start. With overwhelm, you often see a pattern where they start strong but then just suddenly stop. Or they might say, I can't, even after they've been trying.
Right.
You might even see physical withdrawal.
Physical withdrawal, you mean like walking away?
Yeah, or putting their head down on the desk, hiding their work, pulling their hoodie up.
Oh, the head on the desk. That's a classic. I always take that as I'm bored and I'm checking out.
And that's usually a misread. That is often a sign that the system is fried. They're trying to reduce sensory input, to shut out the world, because it's just too much.
So if the cup is overflowing, how do we fix it? I mean, we can't just stop doing the work, right? We can't let them quit every time it gets hard.
That's the fear, but the source isn't suggesting we abandon the task. It says we have to change the structure. The strategy here is time boxing.
Time boxing. I use that for my own work, like the Pomodoro method.
Similar concept, but for a dysregulated child, you have to be very specific. The source suggests making the work period short and the break guaranteed.
Guaranteed is the key word there.
Yes. If a child feels like the work is endless, the overwhelm sets in immediately. But if you say, work for 3 minutes, then you can stand up, their brain goes, okay, I can survive for 3 minutes.
Wait, 3 minutes? That seems incredibly short. Can you actually get anything done in 3 minutes?
It is short, and that's the point. You aren't optimizing for productivity in that moment. You are optimizing for safety. You are trying to get them back into their window of tolerance.
It makes the finish line visible.
Exactly. They need to know relief is coming. That knowledge manages the nervous system's capacity, keeping them below that overflow point.
So you trade duration for intensity. You get 3 good minutes instead of 30 minutes of fighting.
And usually, once they realize the break is real, they can go for 5 minutes, then 10. You rebuild their stamina. But you have to start small.
It's interesting because both of these first 2, skill gap and overwhelm, they seem to be about the work itself. But sometimes refusal feels, well, social.
You hit on reason number 3, the peer audience.
This is the one that drives teachers crazy, right?
Yeah.
The kid who's, it's an angel one-on-one, but the second there's an audience, they just turn into a performer or a statue.
Right. And the source frames this as the social risk. For kids, especially adolescents, social standing is basically currency. It's survival.
So the refusal to answer a question isn't about the math problem.
No. For some kids, the risk of looking dumb in front of their classmates is just terrifying. It can activate a full-blown fight-or-flight response.
So the refusal is a shield.
It is 100% a shield. Think about it. If I don't try, I can't fail. And if I don't fail, I don't look stupid. Or if I act out and make a joke of it, I'm the funny kid, not the dumb kid.
That's a crucial distinction. The class clown act is just a smokescreen to hide the fact that they don't know the answer.
Exactly. They would rather be in trouble than be embarrassed.
What are the telltale signs for this one?
Well, you'll notice that pattern. They work fine individually, but refuse in groups. Or, and this is a big one, they watch their peers before they act. They are scanning the room.
Scanning the room.
Yeah, looking to see who's watching, looking for approval, looking for the threat. Their attention is horizontal toward their peers, not vertical toward you or the task.
Okay, so if I spot that social scanning, how do I diffuse it? I can't exactly make the other kids disappear.
Actually, you kind of can. The solution is to remove the audience.
How do you do that in a classroom?
You create a private pathway. Offer a private check-in first. Or, and I love this, provide a paper option instead of requiring a verbal answer.
A paper option.
Yeah. So instead of saying, tell the class the answer, which puts them on stage, you use a phrase like, show me on paper first, then you can share if you want.
Show me on paper first. I like that. It takes the spotlight right off.
Completely. You take the social threat off the table, and the source notes that this allows the child to think clearly again because their brain isn't paralyzed by the pressure of being watched.
It's amazing how much fear plays into all of this.
Yeah.
But then there's this fourth category, and this one feels the heaviest. The source calls it emotional state.
The invisible backpack.
Yeah. This idea that the child is carrying something, anger, sadness, anxiety,
Yeah.
that has absolutely nothing to do with the task at hand.
This is the hardest one to spot because it often seems so random. The primary sign is a sudden change. A child has a good morning and then suddenly, boom, total shutdown.
Right. And you're sitting there thinking, what happened? I just asked you to pick up a pencil. Why are you screaming?
But the trigger isn't the pencil. The refusal to pick up the pencil is simply the overflow, the last drop in the bucket.
The source uses a really powerful analogy here. It says asking them to just do the work when they're flooded is like asking someone to swim while drowning.
That image really stuck with me. You don't shout swimming instructions at someone who's drowning. You have to help them find the surface first.
So let's play this out. If we realize a kid is drowning emotionally, what is the move? Because the instinct is to say, calm down and get back to work. Or we try to reason with them.
Which never works. And here's why. You cannot reason with a dysregulated nervous system. When a child is in that state, fight, flight, or freeze, their amygdala has hijacked the brain.
The emotional center has taken over.
Yes. And crucially, the prefrontal cortex, the part for logic and learning, is literally offline. It's inaccessible.
So talking is useless.
Talking is useless. You are talking to a brick wall. The strategy here has to be regulation before learning. You have to prioritize a brain break.
Give me the script. What do I say?
You suggest a specific, non-academic action. Take 2 minutes at the calm corner, then come back. Or go get a drink of water.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Because I know what some listeners are thinking. If I let them go to the calm corner every time, aren't I just rewarding bad behavior? Aren't they just getting out of work?
That is the most common misconception, the fear that we're being soft. But the source is very clear. The break is a neurological necessity, not a reward.
A neurological necessity.
Yes. Think of it like a computer that has frozen. You can keep banging on the keyboard, or you can reboot it. The calm corner is the reboot. You're not letting them off the hook. You are helping them become capable of doing the work.
So it's actually the more efficient path to compliance.
Exactly. Compliance requires calm. You have to establish safety first. Once the amygdala calms down, the prefrontal cortex comes back online, and then you can talk about the math.
This is a lot of information. But what I really appreciate about this source is how it organizes it all into this matching framework at the end.
It basically gives us a diagnostic tool. Before you react, you pause and ask that central question, what is the WHY?
And then they have this if-then summary, which is super helpful. Let's just run through it to lock it in.
Okay. So if it's a skill gap, they don't know how to start, they're frozen.
You make the task smaller, use the microsting,
Yeah.
just pick up the pencil.
Right. If it's overwhelmed, the system is flooded, head on the desk.
You make it shorter. Time boxing, 3 minutes at a break.
If it's peer pressure, they're looking around worried.
You make it private, take the stage away.
Yeah.
Show me on paper.
And if it's emotional state, they are drowning, exploding.
You make space first. Regulation before expectation.
When you lay it out like that, it seems so logical. But let's be real, in the heat of the moment, this is incredibly hard to do.
It really is. Because our egos get involved. We feel disrespected. We feel like we're losing control.
But the big takeaway here is that when you match the response to the reason, the whole dynamic shifts. You stop fighting the child and you start fighting the barrier.
And that's a profound shift. You become a detective. You're looking for clues. Is it too big, too long, too public, or too heavy?
I think that's the key. It just requires a pause. It requires us to suppress that because I said so instinct.
So for everyone listening, Here is the challenge. The next time you face refusal, whether it's a toddler at dinner or a teenager with homework, try to just hit the pause button
Don't focus on the behavior. The behavior is just the signal. Focus on the why.
and try one of the tactics. Try the micro step. Try the time box. Just see what happens to the energy in the room.
You might be surprised to find that the defiance just sort of evaporates when the barrier is gone.
I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. We think of compliance as something we extract from kids, something we force. But this research suggests compliance isn't forced, it's facilitated. By removing the fear, the confusion, the exhaustion, the child often wants to succeed.
They want to do well, we just have to clear the path.
So ask yourself this today. Which of these 4 barriers might you be misinterpreting as defiance in your own life right now? Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.